merch. She don't play for the Fever yet. She want to get down with the get down. She see what's going on, and I'm going to keep it all the way real. Because, at this point, we got to be skeptical, y'all. We got to be a bit skeptical because we have to make sure people aren't trying to join Caitlin Clark's team for clout. We have to make sure that people are trying to be a part of the crew for the right reasons.
She's wearing the merch. She sees what's happening. She understands the momentum. And in the modern landscape of professional sports, when a generational superstar shifts the economic gravity of an entire league, players are going to pay attention. That is not parasitic behavior. That is professional awareness. Right now, the Indiana Fever are sitting at the center of a commercial surge powered largely by Caitlin Clark. Ticket demand is real. Broadcast numbers are real. Sponsorship growth is real. So naturally, free agents are evaluating fit. That is how elite leagues operate. There are always two categories of roster additions around the superstar. The first, the strategic veteran, the player who understands role definition, accepts hierarchy, defends, screens, rebounds, and protects the system. The second, the misaligned piece. Not evil, not parasitic, just someone whose skill set or ego does not match the ecosystem. The difference is not morality. The difference is alignment. If a 6'3" defensive forward signals interest in joining the Fever, that is not hijacking an ecosystem. That is signaling market interest. Free agency has always involved subtle campaigning, leverage plays, branding moves, and social media optics. That is not new. That is the modern sports economy. On a tactical level, yes, the Fever need physical reinforcement. They need length, they need switchability, they need someone who can absorb defensive pressure so Clark does not carry the entire physical burden. That is basketball reality. But here is the real evaluation metric. Not, is she clout chasing? The real question is, can she operate inside a Clark-centric...
Playing some, is that dominoes? I don't know what it is. Scrabble. I don't know what it is. But what she got on? She got on Indiana Fever merch. She don't play for the Fever yet.
...offense without disrupting tempo. Because offensive geometry only collapses when roles are undefined. If the coaching staff establishes hierarchy, if transition pace remains structured, if spacing remains disciplined, the system survives. Strong systems do not implode because of one ego. They implode because of poor leadership. Now let's address the CBA tension without apocalypse framing. Yes, negotiations are tight. Yes, the players want stronger revenue participation. Yes, ownership will push back. But labor friction is not a doomsday prophecy. It is a negotiation cycle. Adam Silver is not sitting in a dark room plotting collapse. He is managing leverage, timing, and long-term brand stability. The NBA has strategic interest in a stable WNBA ecosystem. Allowing destruction serves no one. The union believes momentum strengthens their bargaining position. Ownership believes financial structure limits flexibility. That tension is expected. The idea that the league is moments away from self-destruction ignores historical precedent. Most collective bargaining battles reach the 11th hour. Then, compromise emerges.
Now back to roster construction. If a player joins the Fever, she must understand one reality. This offense runs through Caitlin Clark. That is not opinion. That is economic fact. But understanding hierarchy does not mean erasing ambition. It means sinking it.
We don't need any more Dewana the Scammer Bonners coming over here and robbing us. We don't need no more of that, okay? We damn sure don't need no more Natasha Howards coming over here talking about winning MVP, trying to bring the ball up the court and not giving it to Caitlin Clark. We don't need no more of those type of people trying to join the crew. Okay? Sophie Cunningham joined the crew. And listen, she's capitalized, okay? But at least Sophie Cunningham did right by Caitlin Clark, made sure she gave Caitlin Clark the ball, played the game the right way, stood up for Caitlin Clark while she was being ambushed and attacked.
Ambition with structure. The Fever should not fear interest. They should audit fit.
They should not reject players for signaling desire. They should evaluate basketball IQ, defensive impact, and psychological maturity. Because championships are not built through paranoia. They are built through disciplined alignment. The narrative does not need villains. It needs clarity. This is not a parasite invasion. This is a leverage moment. This is not a corporate kill switch. This is structured negotiation pressure. And the Fever's real challenge is not social media optics. It is building a roster that can defend, space the floor, and protect their franchise engine without disrupting offensive efficiency. Same intensity, same energy, just grounded in structural reality instead of catastrophic framing. If you want it even more aggressive while still de-hooked, tell me. I'll dial it to 100 without changing the core tone. Because here's what nobody wants to say out loud. The moment Caitlin Clark stepped into the league, the economic hierarchy shifted. Not emotionally, not symbolically, financially. Television negotiations changed. Sponsorship conversations accelerated. Arena operations adjusted. Media coverage multiplied. That is not hype. That is measurable impact. And when one player alters the economic velocity of an entire organization like the Indiana Fever, the front office has to operate differently. Every roster decision now carries amplified consequence, because this is no longer just basketball. This is asset protection. If you are building around a generational offensive engine, you do not gamble on unstable chemistry. You do not experiment with ego volatility. You do not bring in pieces that require usage inflation to feel validated. You bring in stabilizers. You bring in defenders who understand spacing. You bring in players who know that sometimes the most valuable possession is the one where you never touch the ball. That's the difference between contenders.
Had some interesting perspectives on the current state of the CBA negotiations. He thinks it's, unfortunate, as he said, where they are right now. He thinks they're getting close to the 11th hour. He has not yet set a drop dead deadline date, and he said he's not ready to. So I'm not sure when he will be ready to. But he said he is very involved, Tarika, in the negotiations behind the scenes. And, so that's where we are. But, he said he knows, like, in the past and from experience, like, a lot of these things get done in, like, the last hour, but, like, we're getting there. And so he would like to see something happen, as many of us would, too.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll say this. I agree with Adam Silver that it is unfortunate that we've gotten to this place. And I also agree with Adam Silver that there is a lot the league will have to accomplish. You and I have talked about it before, where it's not just the CBA.
And chaos. Now let's talk about this so-called clout-chasing narrative again, but properly. In the modern sports economy, brand visibility equals leverage. Players are not just athletes, they are independent media properties. Social media presence affects endorsement pipelines. Market alignment affects future contract flexibility. So when a player publicly signals interest in Indiana, it is not desperation, it is strategic positioning. The key variable is intent. Are they signaling because they believe they fit the system? Or are they signaling because they believe proximity to Clark automatically increases their valuation? The Fever front office must separate those two motivations with surgical precision. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. The wrong addition does not just hurt locker room vibes, it disrupts pace. Clark's offensive system thrives on tempo manipulation, quick outlet decisions, deep range gravity, early transition threes, weak side movement. If you add a player who slows decision speed by half a second, the entire advantage disappears. Half a second in elite basketball is the difference between open and contested. So yes, physicality matters. Yes, defensive presence matters.
A lot of people out here are a little bit confused or have lost the plot that the NBA really does call a lot of the shots, and Adam Silver could have and should have been more prevalent and vocal of a role than he has been. So when I sit here and I listen to him talking about all of this that he's talking about at his press conference, I just keep thinking to myself, Adam, play your part, sir. Like, you can absolutely put an end to this.
But cognitive speed matters more. Now zoom out. The league itself is navigating a power recalibration moment. The WNBA has growth momentum. Corporate partners are more engaged. Media narratives are louder. Attendance spikes are documented. That creates optimism. But optimism does not automatically equal financial elasticity. Ownership evaluates revenue sustainability, not viral spikes. Players evaluate earning windows, not 10-year balance sheets. That tension creates friction. And when Adam Silver speaks cautiously about negotiations reaching the 11th hour, that is not indifference, that is corporate pacing. He understands something both sides sometimes ignore. Momentum is fragile. A prolonged lockout would not just pause salaries, it would cool narrative heat. It would interrupt sponsor confidence. It would fracture fan retention cycles. No executive wants that. But no executive negotiates under emotional pressure either. The union wants structural progress. Ownership wants controlled scalability. Somewhere between those two positions lies compromise. And here is the strategic irony. While negotiation tension builds at the macro level, the micro level, individual roster building, cannot freeze. The Fever still have to prepare. They still have to analyze tape. They still have to evaluate defensive metrics. They still have to forecast cap flexibility. Because if a deal is reached, and historically deals get reached, preparation determines who capitalizes fastest. Now let's return to the locker room psychology question. Every championship team has hierarchy.
Hierarchy is not oppression. Hierarchy is clarity. When players know roles, friction decreases. If someone joins Indiana, the expectation must be crystal clear. Clark initiates, spacing supports, defense anchors. Shot selection aligns with efficiency metrics, not personal narrative. If that structure is communicated from day one, ego conflict shrinks dramatically. And let's be honest, professional athletes understand hierarchy better than fans assume. Most locker room tension does not come from ambition, it comes from ambiguity. Ambiguity breeds insecurity. Insecurity breeds forced shots. Forced shots breed losing streaks. Structure eliminates that chain reaction. Now think about the bigger brand equation. If the Fever build correctly, they do not just chase short-term wins, they build sustained visibility. Sustained visibility strengthens league valuation. Stronger league valuation strengthens CBA flexibility. It is all connected, which means panic moves would be catastrophic. Overpaying for hype? Dangerous. Signing purely for physical intimidation? Short-sighted. Ignoring defensive need out of chemistry fear? Equally reckless. Precision is the mandate, and that requires discipline. Because make no mistake, every player in the league sees the opportunity. They see endorsement potential. They see national broadcasts. They see merchandise numbers. But only a few will truly fit the system. The Fever cannot operate emotionally. They cannot react to social media campaigns. They cannot reward optics over analytics. They must evaluate. Defensive rating impact, transition compatibility, screen assist metrics, turnover discipline, emotional composure under national spotlight. Because the spotlight is not shrinking. Clark's presence ensures that.
And with spotlight comes scrutiny. Every missed rotation will trend. Every forced isolation will be dissected. Every negotiation update will be amplified. That environment demands mental stability. So the real question isn't, should they sign this player because she wants in? The real question is, can she thrive in a system where the gravitational center is already established? If yes, sign her. If no, walk away. No drama required. Now, let's address the fear narrative one last time. Is the league on the brink of implosion? No. Is there negotiation tension? Absolutely. Is there power imbalance? Of course. But professional sports have always operated inside that dynamic. Growth phases are messy, structural adjustments are uncomfortable, economic recalibrations are loud. That does not equal collapse. It equals evolution. The Fever's responsibility is not to predict catastrophe, it is to prepare for stability. Build depth, protect the asset, maintain tempo, stay disciplined. Because if alignment is achieved, if roster fit meets financial compromise, this moment does not become a disaster, it becomes a turning point. And turning points are where dynasties begin. No hysteria, no villains, no apocalyptic framing, just leverage, structure, and execution. That's the reality behind the noise, and the teams that understand that difference, they win.
Because what's really happening right now isn't chaos, it's compression. When a league experiences accelerated growth, everything compresses at once. Expectations, valuations, media narratives, internal politics, player leverage, ownership caution. And if leadership is not disciplined, that compression explodes outward. The Indiana Fever are operating inside that compression zone. Every move feels bigger than it normally would. Every rumor feels amplified. Every free agent whisper becomes a headline. But elite organizations do not react to noise. They build systems that filter it. Now let's talk roster math, not emotion. If you're building around Caitlin Clark, your primary objectives are simple. Maintain pace advantage, protect perimeter gravity, increase defensive resistance without sacrificing transition speed, add physical durability without clogging spacing. That's it. Notice what's not on that list? Win Twitter, reward loyalty signals, punish perceived clout chasing. Those are distractions. The Fever need wings who can defend without demanding 15 touches a night. They need bigs who can head screens and recover quickly. They need players comfortable being decisive in 2 dribbles or fewer. Because Clark's superpower is pace distortion. She forces defenses to stretch beyond comfort range. That creates chaos. But chaos only becomes advantage if teammates make immediate high IQ reads. Slow decision makers destroy that advantage. So if a 6'3" forward wants in, the evaluation question isn't, is she loud online? It's, can she rotate on the weak side without hesitation? Can she sprint the lane every possession? Can she accept a 9-point night if it means the system hums? If yes, you sign her. If no, you pass. No theatrics required. Now zoom out to the macro layer again. The CBA situation is being framed by some as a ticking time bomb, but here's the structural truth. Labor negotiations are leverage cycles.